now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What is going on, RBLR Nation? You are tuning into the Rays portion of RBLR Sports. I am your host, Zach Blaine, and here with me, the one, the only, Mr. Ben Whitelaw. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, good morning, Zach. What's up?
Oh, trying to get through today. I fell down the stairs last night, hurt my butt, but we're all good.
Yeah, I bruised my tailbone one time, and I was telling Eureka while you were away from the camera that I got like really constipated from it because the tailbone swells up. So just go get some prune juice, I guess.
Done deal. Well, I bet the listeners didn't plan to come in and hear about constipation, but we got some awards today, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I liked doing this last year. It was pretty fun, so I'm looking forward to getting into it now. I know we got a couple listener questions and stuff first. Couple things though that did happen this week where the Rays sent out that fan survey. I don't know if you saw that, but like it looks like everybody that purchased a ticket like within the last year or so, maybe 2 years, got a survey from the Rays about like their input on new stadium stuff. So that's pretty cool. So if anybody's listening, check your junk mail, check your inbox and your email, like make sure you fill that out. Pretty important stuff. The Giants are reportedly planning to decline Longoria's option, which is interesting. So going to be a free agent there. But that's pretty much it. Choi is rumored to stay. He wants to stick around. I mean, he's arbitration, so he's probably going to, but it looks like he wants to stay, so that's pretty cool. Zunino's rehab is going really well. He'll be ready for spring training, but other than that, it's been a pretty slow week of Rays baseball news.
Yeah, I feel like everything has just been solely based on playoff baseball, which I mean, rightfully so. Like, it just kind of sucks to not really have a horse in the race.
Yeah, I mean, who's your favorite team now that the Rays are out of it?
Say it again. Sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, sorry about that. Who's your favorite team now that the Rays are out of it?
Oh, now that the Rays are out of it, I gotta pull for Cleveland. I mean, realistically, they're probably not gonna win, but if we're gonna get beat, I want to get beat by the best.
Yeah, I think that would feel a little bit better. Because if they go on to win it all. I really like the Mariners. They're pretty fun. They're like America's team right now, I guess. The Phillies are kind of cool too. But I think the Braves are probably better. So, we'll see how that series goes. But overall, like, it's been a pretty cool postseason. Like, I've been catching a little bit of the games, and they're pretty fun for the most part.
Yeah, I haven't really watched any of them, but looking at the scorecards, it's been a pleasant surprise, I'll say. I mean, Houston has come out and won on 2 late game home runs. I think one was in the 8th and one was in the 9th. So the fact that Seattle's giving Houston a hard time is glorious to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, without Yordan Alvarez, like, Houston's probably not winning any games in the postseason because, like, he's really just carrying the team. But
Yeah.
that's what it's about, I guess, at this point in the year.
Exactly. So you said we got some listener questions again today, yeah?
Yeah, we got a couple here. So the first one is from a fan of the show, Darth Steven, but the S in Steven is a 5. So at Twitter user Darth Steven, we've had his questions before. Said he's got 2 questions. So the first one, which Rays player do you believe is scapegoated the most unfairly? So who gets like treated the most undeservingly or treated the most unfairly but doesn't deserve it?
I feel like we're going to have 2 different answers, and I think I might know your answer. But I'm going to go with – oh, God, see, I got 2. Because I think Wander Franco gets too much pressure on him. He's, 21 now? Like, insanely young still, and he has a little bit of a slump, and everyone's like, oh, is he really that guy? Maybe we should trade him. And then Mike Zunino. Because I feel like people don't give him enough credit for what he does behind the plate and the fact that he can hit, 20-plus home runs on almost any season. And
right, that's true.
I feel like people freak out because he's not going to have a 300 batting average.
Yeah, I mean, he does so many other things that like don't really get marked on the stat sheet. But yeah, he's excellent behind the plate. Game calling, framing is great. We can finally measure that, and the power is awesome too. And the Rays really missed out on some power down the stretch here at the end of the season. I think for me, Brandon Lau probably the most
Oh, that's a good
unfairly
one.
scapegoated player. Like, I mean, not this season because he was hurt the whole year, but like when he's playing, like everybody treats him like he's the worst hitter on the team. Like he strikes out all the time, but like he doesn't. He's got like a close to league average strikeout rate. He's been the best hitter on the team for like 4 years now. So he gets, treated unfairly a lot for no reason. It's kind of dumb. But this year, I think maybe Choi. Um, he definitely had a little
Oh,
bit of a slump, but it was mostly like luck based. And then he also got injured a little bit. So he was really treated unfairly, and he was great during the final month. He was hitting the cover off the ball. One of the only players in the postseason who like did almost anything. Like he got on base like a couple times, which is, pretty monumental considering how everybody else was struggling. So yeah,
you're not wrong.
Troy was treated pretty unfairly this year, and I hope he sticks around because he's probably, until Manzardo's ready, he's like the best first base option they have at the moment. So
Yeah, on the team, I'd say he's the best first base option. I think we could do better, but I do think that he's the best first base option on the team.
yeah, I mean, there's like no one else on the roster unless they go out and get like Freddie Freeman or like. Honestly, I don't. There's really like no other left-handed first baseman who would be like an immediate upgrade on that part of the platoon. Like you can get like a right-handed first baseman to like platoon with him to complement him, but it's really like there aren't any like significant upgrades out there other than like getting an everyday first baseman and having him be really good, which will hopefully be Kyle Manzardo in like 2 or 3 years. So we
Exactly.
gotta wait a little bit. Um, Darth Steven also had another question. He said, this is question number 2. What do you predict Joey Gallo will sign for? And he thinks he would be a great fit for the Rays. I agree that he would be a good fit. The Rays do need a left-handed, well, not necessarily a left-handed bat, but like some kind of power bat. If he's a lefty, that's great. But yeah, what do you think Joey Gallo is going to sign for in terms of like money and then how many years?
God, I don't know. It's always so. Everything is just so based on what's going on at the moment. So I can't tell you right now what I think he would sign for. I think he's going to be out of Tampa's budget, and I give him probably a 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah, he's probably going to look for at least a couple years. I know that he got like his last contract I think I saw was like 1 year for like 10 million or somewhere around there. So
Yeah,
it'll probably be in like maybe like the 12 to 15 million dollar range. Maybe somebody overpays and gives him like 20 million a season. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like if he does go to the Rays, it's probably like a 1 year with some kind of option deal. But yeah, it's really hard to say because like free agency hasn't really started yet. So we're gonna have to wait until after the postseason.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be once that first big name signs, first couple of big names signed, then you're going to have Joey Gallo coming in and getting right under what they got.
Yeah, I mean those big name free agents, like it's going to be Aaron Judge. I don't know, whoever else is a free agent. Like those guys are going to set the course, and then everybody else kind of follow suit. So hopefully they can get paid a lot, and then the guys underneath them can get paid a lot as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that you're spot on with your 12 to 15 million a year range.
I mean, I could be way off, but who knows? That's what I would pay for him because I don't really think he's worth much more than that, given the risk you're taking on with how he's kind of slumped lately. But I think a 1 year, like maybe $15 million deal would be cool. So
Do you think that's something that the Rays would do? Do you think we'd pay 15 million for one season of Gallo?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
With
Okay.
with like maybe a team option, because if it's 1 year and a player option for 15 million, and then maybe he gets like 20 million the next year, I don't know about that. But like if he really figures it out in St. Pete or with the Rays or whatever, and they do have a nice team option afterwards, like that'd be kind of cool. So who knows? But if anybody else has questions that you want us to talk about on the show, questions, comments, concerns, hypothetical things, compliments, all that good stuff, you can like, follow, subscribe, support us anywhere on any social media. We are at RBLR Sports. So if you're listening to this, maybe you already support us. if you don't support us, do it, please, and thank you.
Yeah, basically what he's saying, get on there, tell him he's pretty, and then ask a question, then we might answer it.
Yeah. Well, like just click the like and follow buttons and stuff, and we'll see what happens after that. All right. I guess we can just get into our season awards here now.
Yeah.
There's really not much else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a slow baseball week, especially as a Rays podcast. But what do you got for your first award?
So the first one I did kind of like a basic award here. So my first award is Rookie of the Year. So the Rays Rookie of the Year, I'm giving that to Jose Siri. I totally forgot he was a rookie until Jacob brought it up on our show last week. But among the 70 qualified rookies, he had the 6th highest F-WAR per 100 plate appearances. So he was like, a top 6 rookie in baseball this year. And I really like what he does defensively. He made some nice adjustments at the plate after joining the Rays. So I'm really excited to see what he does in like a full season in Tampa. But yeah, I gave Jose Siri my Rookie of the Year award.
Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. For some reason, while doing these awards, I completely forgot Jose Siri was a person.
Okay, I mean, I feel like a lot of people do that anyways. Like, he seems like he's kind of an afterthought guy in baseball, but I think he's going to make a pretty big name for himself this year, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's what bothers me about it is that I like the guy. I think he's a great pickup for us, and I think he's going to be our center fielder of the future. But I say that because one of my awards was the Bright Future Award. So I did this as someone who's going to have probably a bright future with the Rays or kind of made themselves known as a solid player for us. And I went with the one and only Mr. Isaac Paredes.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, and I think that it came out of nowhere, especially for us. I know that, who was it? Someone on Twitter had kind of been predicting like four of the trades and signings that we had made this year, and Paredes was one of them. And man, did it come true! This man finished the season with 2.4 wins above replacement. He had 331 at bats, a 205 batting average, which isn't insane, but for his first like full season as a starter. Or not as a starter, but as at the MLB level. I mean, he hit 20 home runs and just played phenomenal. His defense was as good as we needed it to be. So I gave him the Bright Future Award.
Yeah, he really had a great season, and I know that Neander was talking about that on the Neil Solon's podcast recently. He did an interview, and he was talking about like, young players that the Rays are looking to take a step forward next year. So they want them to be like a year better and not just a year older. And from last year to this year, Paredes was one of those guys that like really established himself. So they want, more young players to establish themselves at the major league level. But I think Paredes is like fully arrived. I don't really expect him to like, be really bad next year. And I think he's only going to continue to get better because he's 23 years old. Like that's pretty young for a position player. So he's the second youngest position player on the team behind Wander and the third youngest on the team behind Wander and then Patino, and then Paredes would be third. So really young and really talented. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah, and I mean he's a guy that honestly I think we were talking about the best options at first base. I think that Paredes, if he could practice at just first base more, I think that he could legitimately fill that void for us while we wait on Manzardo.
Yeah, he's a really good right-handed first base option, and he's great, as the right-handed option at second base too. So, and even third if anything happens to Yandy. But I think Yandy's probably pretty safe. I don't know. The Rays don't seem like they want to trade away any like major league ready, like established talent anytime soon because they kind of need that.
We really do.
My next award here is the biggest cojones award.
Ooh.
If you know what cojones are, then this award will make sense. So I gave that to Sean Armstrong because out of the 473 pitchers in baseball this year who have thrown at least 500 pitches, he was eighth out of 473 on his percentage of pitches thrown down the middle of the plate. So he threw 9.6% of all of his pitches literally straight down the middle. And that is the 8th highest in all of baseball, first on the Rays by like quite a lot. But he actually had a really good he had really good results on pitches down the middle. He was in the 74th percentile in weighted on base average. So like he was good at it, but he's definitely playing with fire, throwing almost 10% of his pitches literally middle, and just daring hitters to hit it. So I give him the biggest cojones award.
I love that award, and I love the attitude of Armstrong. Just go out and do it.
Yeah, like he's such a gamer. Like he just goes out there and he trusts his stuff, and he believes that he's better than the hitters that he's facing, and it worked out a lot for him after joining the Rays. So really excited to see him hopefully take a step forward next year. I know he hit a career high in velocity this year at he threw like 98 miles an hour, which was really cool. So the Rays are having him play hard, play fast, and aggressive. So I mean, I'd like it if he didn't throw 10% of his pitches right down the middle. I think he could maybe put it to the side a bit, but good for him on having those results.
So my next award, you kind of touched on this man himself, but it's a basic award, but I did team MVP / most consistent player. And I actually went with Yandy Diaz on that. I know that we had talked about him throughout the season just being the most consistent. In 137 games he played, he batted a 296 with a 3.5 WAR. So it felt like whenever we needed him, he was there, and I didn't really remember him being hurt majorly at any point this season. So I gave him the team MVP / most consistent player.
Yeah, he really was the most valuable hitter on the team this year. Like he was the guy that you could put in at leadoff or 2 or 3 in the lineup like every single day, and he's going to go maybe 1 for 3, 2 for 4 with a walk, and he works a really good at bat. He'll walk more than he strikes out. So yeah, I agree. He was a really great bat this year.
Yeah, and for me it was not only the bat, but just he felt like with Kiermaier and Zunino out, he felt kind of like the older guy in the bullpen, or not the bullpen, but in the dugout. Like it felt like he was kind of that team spirit this year.
Yeah, I think he was definitely a leader, even with Margot out too, because Margot was a pretty big leader last year. So he was on the shelf for a bit. So it's nice to see Yandy go out there and lead by example and kind of carry this offense at times, with a lot of very hard ground balls, but he's good at what he does. He's got some really good exit velocities.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my MVP award for this season.
All right. My next award is the most unlucky hitter award. And that's going to go to Harold Ramirez. So he was really lucky a lot, but he was also really unlucky. So the lucky part is he had the 7th highest batting average on balls in play on ground balls in all of baseball. So I don't know, 500, 600 hitters that were, qualified based on the parameters I set. He had the 7th highest. So he would just get on base a lot when he put the ball in play on the ground, which really isn't sustainable. It's not, you don't want to hit ground balls, but he was really good at it. And he had some decent speed too. So that helped him get lucky on those ground balls. And this isn't something he has done a lot in his career. This is kind of an outlier this year. So it seems pretty lucky. But then he was also unlucky because he had the 2nd lowest slugging percentage on barrels in all of baseball. So a barrel is what you want to hit every single time you're up. You want to destroy the ball and square it up. And he did that kind of frequently. He didn't really barrel too many baseballs. I think he was in the bottom 3rd of the league in that. But he had the 2nd lowest slugging on his barrels. So I don't know. I think it's maybe a top spin or a back spin thing. I don't know exactly, but he got pretty unlucky on those barrels.
He's another guy that I'm super confident in, and I'm happy to have him on the team. So I think that your award was perfect because it really did feel like every ball he hit was hard hit, and it just didn't work out for him for some reason.
Yeah, the 90-mile-an-hour ground balls worked out really well, but then the 100-mile-an-hour line drives didn't. So
yeah.
I guess just hit more ground balls. I don't really know.
I mean, that's got to be the only option.
Yeah.
So my next award, I went with the Best Addition award, the best player that wasn't on our team to start the season or before the season started. So I went with Christian Bethencourt. And I know that sounds crazy because we got Jose Siri and we got Isaac Paredes. But could you imagine a season or a second half of the season with just Pinto and Mejia catching for us?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been too good offensively. That's for sure.
Exactly. So I went with him based on the need that we had at catcher with Zanino ending up missing the rest of the season. So I think that he was the best addition we made in order to legitimately better our chances at getting further in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been a great addition. So I really hope they keep him around. He can play first base too. If when Zanino does come back, and if they don't want to move any catchers, he could. He also played the outfield a little bit in Oakland too. But yeah, he's great. He hits the ball really hard. Really good like batted ball profile and good like under the hood stats, and they started to show a little bit as he got more consistent playing time. So hopefully they can find a way to get him in the lineup a lot next year.
And let's not forget that he is probably the best position player pitcher in the league.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like if he's hitting 94, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I feel like he's kind of exactly what the Rays want in a player who he can play multiple positions. Obviously, like he's not going to be a relief pitcher full time or anything like that, but he can play multiple positions. As you mentioned, catcher, first base, a little bit of outfield. I wouldn't want him in the outfield, but he can play it if he had to. So for me, he gets the best addition or the most valuable addition award in my books.
Yeah, he was a really solid pickup. Pretty underrated too. Like they sent over like I think one Rule 5 guy or two Rule 5. Yeah, it was two guys who were going to be lost in the Rule 5 draft anyways. So yeah, it ended up working out pretty well. So my next one is the Thank You for Your Service Award, and I'm giving that to two players. They're like a co-MVP, even though one of them kind of carried it. But Ralph Garza and Chris Mazza, they went out and got shelled pretty much every single time they were out there in mop-up duty. So either the Rays were blowing out a team or the Rays were getting blown out, and they just went out there and pitched like an inning, 2-3 innings, and got the job done. They saved 40 innings from the better bullpen arms. So like they really helped with Brooks Raley, Jason Adam, Fairbanks, like eating those innings. So they were definitely not heroes of the season, but they really they filled a very important role and didn't get much thanks for it because it's like anybody could go out there and get shelled, but they looked good doing it. So Ralph Garza and Chris Mazza were my Thank You for Your Service Award recipients.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve the credit too. I agree with you 100%.
I mean, I think there were 8 or 9 pitchers who are just like no longer with the big league team or like, floating around in Durham somewhere who they combined for like 130 innings. And it was all just like random mismatched relievers like Garza and Mazza, like Steven Duggar, Phoenix Sanders, just like a bunch of random guys that they brought up to eat a bunch of innings and help out the pitching staff. So, but Ralph Garza, he definitely ate a lot of those innings. So thank you for your service, Ralph.
Do you think those two stay? I know Mazza was around last year, but do you think that they stick around as a bullpen guy this year? Next year, I guess we could call it.
Probably not. I don't think it really matters. Like they could put like some AA pitcher who could do the same thing, but I mean they got to like audition for other major league teams, so like the Rays are going to put them in the pitching lab. They're going to try to help them improve, but really they were not very good, and they won't really be pitching in any medium or high leverage situations this next season.
Yeah, and before I get into my next award, like for them, I think they really only need one thing to step up a level and be that high leverage pitcher.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think all that they need to do is go to shop.rblrsports.com and get some of the coolest Tampa Bay Rays inspired T-shirts you could possibly imagine. As far as that goes, we've got Rays T-shirts, we've got Bucks, we've got Rowdies, we've got the Lightning, who just started their season. You want some Lightning gear for the season? Go get it. And then we have the Bucks, and I'm telling you, it is legitimately some of the coolest team-inspired merch that I've seen, and even better than that, we have a discount code that Mr. Ben is going to give you.
Yep, that's promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. Put that in when you're checking out after you've bought, 700 something shirts. You can get 10% off your order. And, Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah's coming up. What better way to celebrate those holidays than buying a bunch of RBLR shirts? So you know what to do. Definitely get your shopping done early with that promo code and save some money while buying very important stuff.
Well, speaking of very important stuff, my last award, I believe that was your last one, so I'm going to give my last one. I have the real Cy Young Award because I know it hasn't come out yet, but I know that this man is probably not going to win it, and he deserves it. Mr. Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, I mean, he was statistically the best pitcher in baseball, but he didn't have the ERA, and he didn't kiss up to the media enough to get it. So
Exactly.
It makes sense.
So that's my thing. He played in 28 games. He went 12-8 on the season. Not a great record, but when you have an offense that was kind of producing like we were this season, it's sort of expected. 2.54 ERA and a 2.54 ERA. Sorry, I'm talking about batting average. It seems like, and 194 strikeouts, which is right up there for the league lead, at least in the American League. I know that he wasn't first, but he was towards the top for sure, at least top 5 if I'm not mistaken. So for me, he gets that award. I think he deserves the actual Cy Young Award, but the real Cy Young Award winner is the one and only Mr. Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, I think Verlander's probably going to end up getting it, but yeah, McClanahan's deserving. He had like the best combination of whiff rate and weighted on base average among like every starter. So he gets some of the most swing and miss. I think he was like maybe Dylan Cease was like 0.1% like ahead of him. He has the lowest weighted on base average, just maybe like a tenth or a couple points behind Verlander. So like, he does the best of both worlds. He limits contact, and when he does get the contact, it's very poor. So he deserves it. But the baseball writers care a lot about win-loss record. Well, not as much in the past, not as much as they used to in the past, but they still care about like ERA and things that pitchers can't control. So it's not really fair. But maybe next year he'll get it. I hope.
I think he could. I think we legitimately have 2 pitchers coming into next season that could win an actual Cy Young.
All right, I do have one more award. Because yeah,
Okay.
wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is my 5th award.
Okay.
This is kind of a long name, but I had to give it to him because it's been kind of a topic with like postseason performances lately. But this is the Clutch Isn't Real, but this is an award for the most clutch player this season award. So again, really long name, doesn't roll off the tongue super well, but the most clutch player, even though clutch isn't real, is going to be on the Rays at least, is Kevin Kiermaier. He led the team in Fangraphs clutch metric, which measures like how well a player performs like above what they normally do in high leverage situations. It doesn't predict anything because it fluctuates so much. So if a player does well in one high leverage situation, they're not going to do well. Well, they're probably not, likely to do well in another high leverage situation. So it doesn't matter. This award is almost meaningless, but I got to give it to Kevin Kiermaier.
So I knew you were gonna get KK in there somewhere for the awards, and I actually have one more award too, not KK, but I do have another award. I skipped over my second award because I wanted to save it for last and forgot about it. But this one is the Sign That Man Award. Give that man an extension, and that goes to Randy Arozarena. I mean, what more can you say? 20 home run hitter, 30 stolen bases, 263 batting average, and he played in 154 games. He was almost as solid as Yandy. He was just kind of streaky, but we sort of expect that from Randy. So I gave him the Sign That Man award. He's the number one priority to me this offseason to get an extension to.
Awesome. That's interesting because I know that there are some trade rumors about Randy right now that excuse me, that the Rays might try to sell high on him right now instead of extending him because I think he's still under team control through 2026 or 2027. So he's got a couple years left.
Yeah.
And I know Mark Topkin reported that he is possibly one that they might try to look to move. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I know. So that kind of played into this award because I had been seeing those. I don't really follow Topkin too much. He kind of, unless we're ever going to have him on the show, Eureka can edit this out, but he kind of annoys me. Truthfully, like I just don't. His takes are wild to me. But I do think that now is probably the highest, not the highest that we could sell him for, but our best opportunity to sell him. Because I think that he's going to be too expensive moving forward, and I think that if we don't sign him and we can't trade him this offseason, then he's just going to get more and more expensive as every year goes. Because I think he's going to keep this, 20 home run, 30 stolen base going. Like he might be a few off here and there, but I don't think that he's going to digress anything kind of crazy like.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. He definitely like overperforms a lot of his metrics, but he does it pretty consistently. So, I mean, we can reasonably believe that he'll continue to do that, but a lot of it is speed related. So we'll see how his legs hold up as he gets older. But I think next year he might have a chance at like 50 stolen bases with the new pickoff rule and the bigger bases. So it's going to be really interesting to see how his aggression translates to a new run environment with all these rule changes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. He might be after next season when they see what he can do with the new rules. I think there's a strong chance that he becomes one of the more valuable players in the league.
I mean, he's definitely going to try to steal like 50 to 60 times, so we'll see how that works out for him.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's a good point. But that's all my awards for real this time.
Yeah, me too. I don't have any more. So that was cool. I like doing that stuff. It's fun. Enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's as weird as it sounds because every time we do this, it means that the Rays are no longer playing baseball. This is one of my favorite shows that we do at the end of the year. I can agree with that 100%.
Yeah, me too. So there's really not much else like Rays news. I know we got some Arizona Fall League stuff. Evan Reifert, Mason Hour, Ronnie Simone, Blake Hunt, they're all playing really well. Some guys going to Australia for the baseball league. Junior Camanero's going over there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's not much is happening right now. I know once the playoffs are over, we'll probably, get more exciting stuff. But right now it's just rumors and guys like getting ready to do off-season stuff.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, it's just a slow week of Rays baseball, and we're gonna get into the fun part of Rays baseball and Rays baseball podcasting here in the next probably month you'd say? Month and a half is when it'll get. We'll have more
definitely.
news coming out.
Yeah, especially like with the winter meetings in December with the owners and then the Rule 5 draft, like that's all going to be pretty fun. So I'm excited. We'll definitely have some good guests on and different cool topics and stuff like that. So yeah, it should be a fun off season.
I agree 100%. And something that's even more fun, if you guys go and follow wherever you're listening to this, give us a like, give us a follow. And then on all of social medias, I know that Ben touched on it earlier. It doesn't cost anything. If you guys just go give us a follow and interact with us on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever you have. We're at RBLR Sports on all of those. So if you guys just go give us a like and a follow, we'd appreciate it a whole bunch.
Yeah, like Zach said, thank you for listening. Follow us. Social media is free usually, so if it's free, you're the product. We're selling your information. We're stealing your identity. We're doing all that stuff. We're already going to do that. We're already going to steal your information, so you might as well follow us to, because we're already taking your stuff, so you might as well,
I mean, if that isn't worth a follow, I don't know what is. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you guys for listening, and go Rays.
Go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.